Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Hong Kong Q3 GDP grows 4.1%, but full-year forecast cut. Biden and Xi to seek to stabilize relations in California meeting. Hong Kongers make a splash in UK politics. Country Garden sees biggest sales drop in years amid cash crunch. UTMB World Series creator Poletti fulfills long-term goal with Translanta debut. Hong Kong Q3 GDP grows 4.1%, but full-year forecast cut. Nikkei Asia. Hong Kong's economy grew 4.1% in Q3 2023, beating the 1.5% growth in Q2 and 2.9% growth in Q1, according to the government. Inbound tourism and private consumption are expected to support growth for the rest of the year. However, the government revised down the full-year economic growth forecast to 3.2% from the previous estimate of 4.0% to 5.0%. The government economist noted that the difficult external environment, including geopolitical tensions and tight financial conditions, would continue to weigh on exports and investment. Visitor arrivals in September totaled 2.77 million, compared to just over 66,000 in the same month last year, when China was still dealing with COVID-19 restrictions. Biden and Xi to seek to stabilize relations in California meeting. New York Times. President Biden and President Xi Jinping of China plan to meet in California on Wednesday for a discussion that Mr. Biden's advisors say is meant to stabilize relations, even as it features a host of topics on which the two fiercely competitive countries disagree. Hong Kongers make a splash in UK politics. Financial Times. The group Hong Kongers in Britain is campaigning to mobilize Hong Kong residents who have moved to the UK to participate in democracy. By the end of 2022, over 180,000 Hong Kongers are expected to settle in the UK through the British National Overseas Programme, which was introduced to help those fleeing China's clampdown on liberties. The campaign aims to ensure that these migrants know how to register to vote, mobilize their vote on issues important to the Hong Kong community, and signal to policymakers that their votes could determine the outcome of certain seats. The campaign is targeting marginal seats where the local Hong Kong population could influence the outcome. The campaign will spread information about candidates who commit to addressing issues affecting the Hong Kong community, such as China policy and policing. The UK government has already granted backing to the Hong Kong community through the visa route and a £43 million support package. The British government has also courted the Hong Kong community, as the memory of the city as a British colony is still relatively fresh in the minds of MPs. However, some Hong Kongers are calling for the UK government to take tougher action against China, arguing that it should have acted earlier to hold China accountable. The campaign also highlights the need for the UK government to expand the BNO visa program and grant family members still in Hong Kong a route to the UK. Country Garden sees biggest sales drop in years amid cash crunch. Bloomberg. Chinese developer Country Garden Holdings Company has experienced its largest sales drop in at least 6 years as concerns about its ability to complete projects have led to a cash crunch. Contracted sales for October dropped 81.1% from the same period last year, following a drop of 80.7% in September. The developer's default on a dollar bond in October has also raised concerns about its future. In a positive note, Country Garden said it has delivered around 460,000 homes in the first 10 months of the year. UTMB World Series creator Poletti fulfills long-term goal with Translanta debut. South China Morning Post. Michel Poletti, co-founder of the UTMB World Series, said it was important for him to participate in the inaugural 129 km Translanta Trail running event in Hong Kong. The event, which was scheduled to take place last year but was cancelled due to COVID-19, is part of the UTMB World Series circuit and marks the first time a race in Hong Kong has been included. Poletti, 68, arrived in the city on Thursday and expected to take around 26 hours to complete the race, saying he was focused on enjoying the adventure rather than the competition. Cathay Pacific aims to hire 5,000 more people in 2024, CEO Ronald Lam says. Bloomberg. Cathay Pacific plans to hire around 5,000 employees in 2024 as flight capacity gradually returns to pre-pandemic levels. The airline was severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic due to Hong Kong's strict entry and quarantine rules. The company had around 21,900 staff at the end of June, down from 34,000 in 2019. Cathay Pacific aims to rebuild its workforce quickly and has already hired 5,000 employees in 2023. The airline is currently operating at 70% of its pre-COVID flight capacity. ICBC trying to curb impact of U.S. ransomware attack, says China. Financial Times. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, is working to minimize losses following a ransomware attack on its financial services arm. The attack disrupted the market for U.S. Treasuries, resulting in hedge funds and asset managers rerouting trades. ICBC Financial Services, based in New York, is the only Chinese broker with a securities clearing license in the U.S. Traders and banks said the attack had some effect on Treasury market liquidity. Ransomware attacks have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic as remote working has made businesses more vulnerable. Estonia says Chinese ship is main focus of probe into cables damage. Reuters. Estonian prosecutors have revealed that the Hong Kong-registered Nunu polar bear container ship is the primary focus of their investigation into the damage of two subsea telecoms cables last month. Police from Estonia's neighboring country Finland have also stated that an anchor found on the seabed next to a damaged gas pipeline probably belonged to the same ship. Both countries are looking into the ship's role as its movements on 7 to 8 October matched the time and place of the damage. This is the first time Estonia has stated that it is the primary scenario it is investigating. Morning bid, Powell pushback puts Cloud9 beyond reach. Reuters. The market reacted negatively to Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's comments, which were more hawkish than expected. Powell refused to rule out another rate hike and stated that the central bank was not yet confident that its policy stance was sufficiently restrictive to achieve the 2% inflation target. This caused a jolt in the Treasury market, with yields on 2-year, 10-year, and 30-year Treasuries all jumping. The poor demand at the long bond auction also contributed to the market jitters. Attention now turns to the release of the U.S. Consumer Price Inflation Report next week. Chinese EV maker Zeekr, unit of Geely, hastens U.S. IPO to expand product line. South China Morning Post. Geely's EV unit, Zeekr Intelligent Technology Holding, plans to raise $1 billion through an initial public offering, IPO, in the U.S. The company filed public listing documents for the IPO, which it plans to use to expand its product line and compete against rivals in the Chinese EV market. Zeekr is targeting a listing on the New York Stock Exchange within weeks and could be the first major Chinese firm to list in the U.S. since Beijing tightened approval procedures for overseas fundraising in 2021. Zeekr's IPO comes after it posted a net loss of 3.87 billion Chinese yuan, $520.6 million, in H1 2023, up 25% YOY, and revenue of 21.3 billion Chinese yuan, more than double last year's figure. Morning update: Jewish communities shaken by spike in hate incidents since onset of Israel-Hamas war. The Globe and Mail. Hate crimes are surging in Montreal following the recent Hamas attack on Israel. In the past week, 2 Jewish schools were shot at and Molotov cocktails were thrown at a synagogue and a Jewish nonprofit's headquarters. Since October 7, Montreal police have recorded 45 incidents targeting Jewish people and 14 targeting Arab Muslim communities. This is significantly higher than the usual rate of hate crimes reported in the city. The rise in anti-Semitism across Canada has added to the level of anxiety in Jewish communities and is likely a response to the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. This surge in hate crimes comes as Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza's biggest hospital, the Al-Shifa, killing 1 person and injuring others. Statistics Canada reports that 238 cases of hate crimes were opened last year, indicating that the current number of incidents in Montreal is almost double the annual average. Japan banking giant MUFG bullish on China, Asia-Pacific growth. South China Morning Post. MUFG Bank's corporate clients remain bullish about China in the long term, despite the country's economic slowdown, according to Masakazu Osawa, CEO of MUFG Bank's Asia-Pacific division. Osawa said that while clients were being selective in their investments in China at the moment, they were still optimistic about the country's recovery in 2024. Osawa also said that MUFG Bank sees the Asia-Pacific region as its second mother market and that it sees a lot of new trade flow coming from not just Hong Kong and mainland China, but also other Asian countries such as South Korea and Japan towards many ASEAN countries and India. Exclusive, China's sovereign fund appoints new North America chief sources. Reuters. China Investment Corp. (CIC) has appointed Bai Shaoqing as its new North America head for its New York office, showing the sovereign wealth fund's commitment to maintaining its presence in the U.S. despite tensions between the two countries. The move comes as Washington has increased scrutiny on Chinese investments it considers a national security threat. Price wars during Chinese shopping fest expose consumer woes. Reuters. China's Singles' Day shopping event is revealing weakness in household consumption and raising concerns about the country's economic slowdown. The event, which has expanded into weeks of promotions, is being closely watched as a gauge of consumer confidence. E-commerce platforms such as Alibaba's Taobao and Tmall are offering discounts and rock-bottom prices, while Pinduoduo and JD.com are offering cashback deals. However, analysts expect subdued sales figures as macroeconomic headwinds cause consumers to be more value-conscious. Some indicators suggest a slowdown in sales, while others are more optimistic and expect total sales growth of 14% to 18%. Biden's real reason for wanting to meet Xi at the APEC summit. South China Morning Post. The meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to go ahead at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum Summit in San Francisco next week. Despite the confrontational nature of the U.S. policy towards China, Beijing seems inclined to agree to the meeting. However, China may have to consider the chances of Biden losing next year's election due to unfolding developments in the Middle East, which are eroding his support among the Democratic voter base. Hello, viewers. I'm Dr. Six from the 6 Degrees World, here to bring you the latest news from around the globe. Today, we have a mix of economic updates, political developments, and even some sports news. So, let's dive right in. First up, Hong Kong's economy grew 4.1% in Q3, beating expectations. However, the government revised down its full-year forecast due to external challenges. It seems like Hong Kong is still grappling with geopolitical tensions and tight financial conditions, which are impacting exports and investment. Nonetheless, the government remains optimistic about the rest of the year, thanks to inbound tourism and private consumption. In political news, President Biden and President Xi Jinping of China are set to meet in California to discuss various issues. The meeting aims to stabilize relations between the two countries, despite their disagreements. This is an important development, considering the fierce competition between the US and China. Moving on, the Hong Kongers in Britain group is mobilizing Hong Kong residents who have moved to the UK to participate in democracy. With over 180,000 Hong Kongers expected to settle in the UK, their votes could potentially influence certain seats. The campaign focuses on issues important to the Hong Kong community, such as China policy and policing. It's great to see the Hong Kong community actively engaging in their new home's politics. In business news, Chinese developer Country Garden Holdings has experienced a significant sales drop, raising concerns about its future. The company's default on a bond and concerns about project completion have led to a cash crunch. However, there is a positive note as Country Garden has delivered a large number of homes this year. Let's hope things improve for them. Turning to sports, Michel Poletti, the co-founder of the UTMB World Series, recently participated in the inaugural Translanta Trail running event in Hong Kong. He aimed to enjoy the adventure rather than focusing on competition. It's always inspiring to see individuals pushing their boundaries and embracing new challenges. Next, Cathay Pacific plans to hire 5,000 more people in 2024 as flight capacity gradually returns to normal. The airline has been severely impacted by the pandemic and aims to rebuild its workforce quickly. This is a positive sign for the aviation industry, as it shows a gradual recovery. In other news, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, is working to minimize losses following a ransomware attack on its financial services arm. Ransomware attacks have increased during the pandemic, making businesses more vulnerable. It's crucial for institutions to strengthen their cybersecurity measures to protect against such threats. Shifting our focus to Estonia, the Hong Kong-registered Nunu polar bear container ship is the primary focus of an investigation into the damage of two subsea telecoms cables. Estonian and Finnish authorities are looking into the ship's role, as its movements align with the time and place of the damage. It's interesting to see how investigations unfold in cases like this. Now, let's talk about the financial markets. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's comments had a negative impact, causing a jolt in the Treasury market. The poor demand at the long bond auction added to the market jitters. All eyes are now on the U.S. consumer price inflation report next week. It's always a roller coaster ride in the financial world. In the tech world, Geely's EV unit, Zeekr Intelligent Technology Holding, plans to raise $1 billion through an IPO in the U.S. The company aims to expand its product line and compete in the Chinese EV market. This IPO could be a significant move, especially considering the tightening approval procedures for overseas fundraising in China. In Canada, hate crimes targeting Jewish and Arab Muslim communities have surged following the recent Israel-Hamas conflict. This rise in anti-Semitism is alarming and adds to the anxiety in Jewish communities. It's crucial to address and condemn any form of hate and discrimination. Moving to Japan, MUFG Bank's corporate clients remain optimistic about China's long-term recovery, despite the current economic slowdown. They see China as a promising investment destination in the future. It's always interesting to see how investors navigate through challenging times. Lastly, China Investment Corp. (CIC) has appointed a new North America head, reaffirming its commitment to maintaining a presence in the U.S. This move shows that tensions between the two countries have not deterred Chinese investment. It's a testament to the resilience of global economic relations. That's all the news for today, folks. Remember, these updates give us a glimpse into the world's events, but there's always more to explore and discuss. So, what are your thoughts on these news stories? Do you have any questions or opinions to share? Feel free to join the discussion and let us know what's on your mind. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the 6 Degrees world. Note, the news stories and analysis provided are based on the given sources and are for informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the 6 Degrees world. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.